Well, I can't say that I was particularly excited for Arceus and the Jewell of Life. The monumental disappointment of the last film and the wholesale negative reputation of this one left me very, very wary. Still, I at least had some hope since we're dealing with Arceus this time around. Did the movie manage to impress me despite its reputation? Let's take a look. Thousands of years ago, the creation Pokemon Arceus protected a village from an incoming meteor, nearly losing his life in the process. Fortunately, the efforts of a man named Deimos saved Arceus' life, and in return, Arceus gave a part of himself, the Jewell of Life, to Deimos so that his village would prosper. However, when the time came to return the jewel, Deimos betrayed Arceus, who went into a rampage and swore revenge on humanity. Back in the present, the actions of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina have finally awoken Arceus from his slumber, setting his plans of destroying humanity into motion. And now Ash and friends must stop Arceus and uncover the hidden secrets of Deimos' past. Okay, just stop for a minute. I'm just going to front load this review with all the good stuff because this is honestly one of the most narratively broken films I've ever seen. Okay? Let's go. I like that they made the first 3 Sinnoh films connect to each other narratively since it gave each subsequent film more weight and importance with its rising escalation. The initial introduction of the Deimos myth was pretty alright since it actually felt like a piece of world-building mythos, even if the film eventually ruined it, and I also like the message at the very end of the film about how humanity can survive through its own efforts without divine intervention. That's pretty much everything that's good about this one. Everything else is completely broken in all areas. For starters, you remember how I've been hammering on about the Lovecraftian power levels of these deity Pokemon for the past few films? This movie totally destroys that almost immediately by having some nobody summon Dialga out of a time portal in order to save Pikachu and Piplup. Let me say that again. Some person we've never met before literally summons the god of time to save 2 insignificant Pokemon. You think that's bad? Then strap in, folks, because this is just the tip of this shitberg. So anyway, this nobody named Sheena is apparently a descendant of Deimos, and I guess comes from a special tribe of people that can communicate directly with the hearts of Pokemon? I think? They never really give a direct answer aside from rambling on about overcoming the laws of space and time, which is just literary speak for total bullshit. Also, for some reason, she keeps referring to Pokemon as magical creatures, which I can almost accept when the people in the past refer to them that way, but makes no fucking sense for a person from the modern era. Also, Sheena has a partner with the same ability named Kevin, and he's there. Sometimes. Giratina shows up and starts attacking Dialga because it's still pissed about Rise of Darkrai, so Sheena tries to calm Giratina down but fails because it's too angry. But it's okay because the main character's here and Giratina remembers him from the last movie. You know, when I started playing Diamond version, my first encounter with Giratina fucking blew my mind because he was just so terrifying. It's a ghost dragon from another dimension that looks like it fell out of the Cthulhu mythos, and being able to control that power made me feel like an unstoppable badass. In this film, Ash basically turns Giratina into Totoro, but with energy attacks. How intimidating. After a brief exposition on Deimos' legend and how all the deity Pokemon work, Arceus shows up and just starts tossing everybody around like ragdolls, which is to be expected since he's the god of everything. But the way they portray this fight gives it almost no weight or impact whatsoever. In Rise of Darkrai, I actually felt kinda terrified when Dialga and Palkia traded blows just because of how much energy was being given off and the sheer physicality of the fight. But this movie basically just turns the battle into a laser light show and I felt almost no weight whatsoever. So we're about a third of the way into this movie and it already feels like we've reached the endgame content, so how do we extend this to feature length? By going into the past, of course. I'm not going to pretend that I'm unbiased here, considering that time travel plots are one of my most hated tropes in cinema since they're almost never done well, but the jumbled nature and escalation of this film just makes me hate it even more. So we get to the past and see Deimos betray Arceus, and it's almost immediately apparent that it's the work of some other guy who we've never met before, because fuck making characters have responsibility for their actions, we need someone who's just straight up evil. Kids will understand that. We don't need to challenge them with anything that might resemble an an actual person. Fuck, let's just bring Zero back from Giratina and the Sky Warrior, because that worked so well last time. From here until the resolution of the story, the film descends into this non-stop rambling of ideas with no coherent structure or message. I would like to go into detail on why it's all bullshit, but I'm working with limited time for this project, so I'll just touch on two of the major points. Firstly, Deimos completely ruins his own backstory by monologuing about his first experience with Arceus. The original myth made it look like Deimos underwent a huge Herculean task to retrieve all of Arceus's elemental plates and bring him back to life. In reality, he picked up one plate that was about 50 yards away, dragged it back to Arceus, and then Arceus just took care of the rest by himself. Because fuck effort too, I guess. Why work hard to prove loyalty and self-sacrifice to the deity that just saved your life when he can just do it himself? Secondly, Arceus is a little bitch. Yes, I get that the Jewel of Life contains a significant portion of his power, but this is the fucking creation Pokemon we're talking about. Pouring molten metal on the guy shouldn't be that effective, and it's not even one of his weaknesses. They just introduced this concept at the very end like it's some kind of plot twist. No, it's not silver water, it's fucking liquid metal, except it's not hot so nobody gets vaporized in a children's film. Speaking of death, there's this scene near the end where they try to convince us that Arceus is dying, but we clearly see that he's putting off massive amounts of energy when Deimos tries to communicate with him. So, no, he's not dying. At all. So then we get back to the present, and apparently nothing fucking changes until Ash yells at Arceus and Arceus suddenly remembers him. It's like a whole 5 minutes of the movie that they could have cut out just by fixing that, but they left it in for some reason. Also, I guess Dialga and Palkia are friends now or something, even though they were trying to kill each other 2 movies ago. Aside from the narrative elements, there's really nothing much to talk about. The animation is super flat and uninteresting, with some of the worst fights the Pokemon movies have had yet, replacing actual weight and choreography with the most seizure-inducing light show since Electric Soldier Porygon, and the music's totally unmemorable in every way. Despite having 1 or 2 elements that I thought were alright and managing to maintain a relatively quick pace, this movie is an absolute disaster. The narrative is completely broken, and the cinematic aspects do absolutely nothing to make it any better. This may very well be the worst Pokemon movie so far, though I've already said that several times before, so I should probably just stop tempting the fates. Anyway, that's it for this video. Sorry about the overly long rant, but I just really fucking hate this movie. Tomorrow we'll cover the last Sinnoh film, Zoroark, Master of Illusions. And don't forget to check out my other content while you wait. Special thanks to Jan Rogalski, Rourkton Join, JJJ User, Kushina Minami, and all my other patrons for their generous support. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time. After a stiff drink.